All right. So the last, right till now, we have looked at different, overviews, theories we have completed. We have looked at different overview of different experiential methods. We have last, in this earlier class, looked at how to design an activity. Right now, last class, we'll deep dive into one activity totally called project-based learning or problem-based learning. Okay, so a question for you. Has anybody conducted this activity, projects or project-based activity or problem-based activity? Has anybody uh, conducted it or participated in it? And if so, can you share your thoughts?
Hi, ma'am. This is Anju again.
Yes,
So
Anju.
I
Hmm.
had
Your
I
name
had
comes as
actually
Annie here, so I
yeah,
always
yeah,
get.
yeah. Actually, no, that's Anju Negi. So this is my official ID. Somehow I was not able to get in, so I said okay, join from official ID. This is my email ID actually. A
Okay,
Anju or NE from Negi. So my name is
okay,
Anju Negi.
all right.
So, ma'am,
Go ahead.
Yeah, I don't know whether it'll fall in this, but as far as my understanding, I'll share. We were having a lot of challenge with one of our colleague. He's in senior leadership, and he was highly. He's a very brilliant guy, but somehow, he's having so much of conflict with everyone in the organization. And since he was at a higher level, so it was very difficult to handle him. So what I did that I said, okay, fine, I am going to conduct a workshop on conflict management. And when we, created a program, keeping him in mind only. And
Okay.
obviously, we are not citing the direct examples which were related to him, but we are taking other examples so that, he also understands that what exactly we are trying to convey, that how do we handle conflicts in different situations. So I don't know whether it was exactly the same or different you're asking.
No.
Okay.
Not
Sorry.
no, 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 it's okay. In fact, I'm glad you pointed it out because so all the misconceptions also get cleared. So thank you for telling us, sharing this with us. But it doesn't fall under the category of project-based learning. Okay. So
Yeah,
projects,
I
Ruchi, you
want to
want?
share something here.
yeah,
Yes.
even
Niruchi,
I
please
want.
go ahead.
Okay,
Yeah,
we take
so
go ahead, Ruchi.
ma'am, I'm from Delhi NCR. So you all of you know like AQI is really, really very high here in it's very unhealthy. So if I say problem solving, I'm part of a group where they're working on sustainable like environmental products. So I think just like when you said, it just clicked my mind. So maybe it's some kind of thing where you're solving a problem, which is yeah.
Yeah. So, what do you do with the solution then? Do you come up with a solution? Is there any training,
Yeah, so
learning
they are
involved?
doing a packaging, which will be like environment friendly packaging of all the products.
Okay.
So they are going
Mm,
to pitch that to the Startup India. So, but we are still under
okay.
that project where we have not yet completed it. Yeah.
Okay. So, still, okay, let me only clarify what it means because I think,
And Can I
uh,
can I add something, share my
yes.
experience before you come in?
Mm,
We conduct trainings for teachers. Like I am into K-12 space, and there's a product on digital classroom we train. Then after the training, what we do is we give like certain questionnaires to each group. Like these are some like how do you navigate, how do you teach using your lesson plan. Then they create some projects out of it, and then as a group they present it. Is Does this fall into project based learning?
mm. It is a project. It is
Okay,
not project-based learning. Okay,
okay,
so
okay,
there
got
are
it.
just very, very small minor differences between project-based learning and problem-based learning, but projects and project-based learning, two totally different things. Okay, project is like you said, Manaswini, you teach them everything and
Hmm.
then you give them a project. Why? To ensure or to assess that they have learned everything.
Correct.
Okay, so they have to make a presentation and they will be assessed on it, and you will probably give them grades or whatever, or the certification will depend upon this assessment.
Correct.
Okay, that is
Correct.
actually a project. I did my instructional design course from this Carlton Management Institute of US. So the training was only for 2 weekends, two full weekends. But we were given 6 months to complete a project. And we were not given a certificate till that project was completed. The Viva was done, assessment was done, and then we were given the certification. So that is a project. But project-based learning is uh, it's a learning activity. Actually, there is some kind of learning, but in the project, what you've done is you've given the learnings, then you give them a project. In project-based learning, the project is launched at the beginning of the training activity. So you start by giving launching a project. It is typically a team activity, and along the way, the trainer will conduct that, give inputs or conduct training programs, which will be required for them to complete that particular project. Okay. For example, let's say the project is launched before a training program that you have to design a marketing campaign for our product or for a product. All right. So now that is the project that they have to do. But how are they going to do it? So the trainer is now going to give or ask very driving questions. Like this marketing campaign you're going to come. What is the market? Who is the market? How does this function? So he will give the theoretical inputs for it, he or she, and then continue. Maybe he will talk about the 4 P's of marketing, and then the student will link this to the project that they have to do. So, my project is to develop a marketing campaign for a toothpaste, or if I'm working in a company for my own products, and they will I might tell them to how to conduct market research. They will actually have to do this market research, come up with the answers. Then another part of the training program would be to analyze this market research. How do you do analysis? And then you can go on. So what we are doing is there'll be several iterations of this training, or asking questions, giving inputs, coming up with a final product. That is project based learning. Problem based learning, very similar, but instead of a project, you give them a problem, a very specific problem. So, Ruchi, now what you had said that, come up with a different packaging system, which would be environment friendly. That would be a problem which they need to resolve. However, in this case, the inputs that the trainer gives is not very structured. So the team will come up with the will analyze the problem. If they have difficulty, they will ask me, then I give them the inputs. Okay. So let's say another example, how to address the declining sales in Maharashtra. That is my problem that I have given to them. They might come up to me saying that where do I get the data from? So then I will explain that data is available here. This is how you can get the data. They will get the data, they will analyze it, they will come back to me saying this is our analysis. I might teach them more methods of analysis if they want, and then they continue proceeding further. So what we are talking about, problem-based learning given before, but it is a problem, very specific problem, but ambiguous. Now, how to address declining sales? Sales कितने decline हुए? I have not given them. They have to do the research to find out. कौन से areas of Maharashtra में गए हैं? Is it Mumbai? Is it the rural area? Is it the urban area? Is it the 2-tier city, 3-tier city? That they have to do all that. So they will only ask the questions, they will only prepare everything. Keep on giving inputs when they ask for it. Vis-a-vis project based, I might ask leading questions, pointed questions कि okay, now you have to develop a marketing campaign. कैसे करोगे? कौन से मार्केट को टारगेट करोगे? How will you decide which market? How will you do the research for it? So I might ask pointed questions for them to ruminate over, and it will be a give and take. So they'll say, okay, we want to do this. How will you research it? ऐसे करो क्या? No, why don't you try these methods? So there is some sort of structure to it, but there's a lot of say from the students as well. Um, I need to share, Gurvinder, I'm not able to share the screen. You'll have to give me access.
Okay, ma'am. You can do now.
Yeah. Okay, so just to recap all the differences, projects are like products, like, a task is assigned, like Manaswini just talked about. You're supposed to do it. What is the objective? To apply the learnings. The focus is on completing the task. So definition wise, a specific task or an assignment that a student needs to complete to demonstrate learning. Okay. So what does the teacher do? Provides guidance and feedbacks. Focus is on completing the task, executing the task, may or may not involve a problem. But he has a very strict timeline is given and a person needs to complete it. For earlier, yours is now a PGP course, which earlier was called a diploma. Diploma had a project. So you had 3-4 semesters of learning inputs, followed by which the student had to give a project. Now there were categories given. You can either design or you can deliver, you can evaluate, assessment centers. And methodology was also suggested that you need to do this. But your certification will not happen. I mean, that time, the diploma students will not happen unless the project is given, you're evaluated on it, there's a viva, then it will be done. Okay, so that's the definition. So assessment will be done. On the other hand, project-based learning happens through projects, emphasizing real-world relevance, collaboration, reflection. Okay, what is the objective? Not only to understand the deep understanding of the actual content. So my project is marketing campaign. How to develop a marketing campaign, full in-depth analysis. So you start with marketing research or the 4 Ps, target audience, etc., etc. So if you have to look at the definition, it is a approach where students learn by working on a project. So they will not only learn about the content, they also require critical thinking, problem solving, and it is usually given in a team. Okay. Problem based, similar to project based, but it involves actually solving a real life problem. Okay. So a very open-ended, ambiguous problem is given. They will have to come up with a refined problem statement. They will have to solve this complex problem. So now they're learning to also not only the knowledge, but they're also learning critical thinking, collaboration, etc. So although there is a fine difference between all of them, there are similarities also. Okay, so what are the similarities? That both problem-based learning and project-based learning help students develop critical thinking. So there is a twofold objective, not only to teach the content, but teach skills of critical thinking, yeah, collaborating within the team, dependencies, allocating work. So teamwork is also taught in that. Both problem and project-based learning allow students to utilize classroom resources as well as technology which is available with the organization. Both require students to be self-motivated and self-directed. The trainer's role is not a teacher, but as a facilitator, guide, mentor, coach. Okay, but the differences are there, so outcome of these two slides actually give you the process also, so differences and the process. So project, when you're assigning a project, it starts after teaching. Content is delivered beforehand, then the project is given. Structure is quite rigid, defined steps with deadlines. Trainer has high control over it, and level of collaboration may not be required if it is an individual project altogether. It's not required at all. Outcome is a report, a product, or a presentation. Assessment is both on the product and the completion. Duration is usually very, very short. Project based, it begins with a driving question or a challenge. Content is delivered throughout the project. Structure is moderately structured with a strong requirements coming up from the students. So students' voice and choice is much more uh, important out here. And therefore, the control is shared with the students along with the teacher. Collaboration, therefore, is essential because the whole project is done as a team. Okay. Outcome, a actual real world application project is delivered. Assessment is both on the final product as well as the process. So critical thinking, problem solving, brainstorming, creativity, creative ideas, everything is going to be assessed. So the whole process of collaboration along with the final outcome is assessed. Duration definitely could be long term. Problem based, it starts with a complex or an ambiguous problem that is given to the participants. Content delivery emerges as the learners explore the problem. Structure is therefore very, very loose. Learners identify what they need to learn, and then the teacher or trainer assessment would be based on the problem solving process, the
Ma'am,
collaboration.
ma'am, sorry, we lost your voice completely. We couldn't
Ma'am,
hear
actually,
for like
we
one
thought,
minute. Yeah.
Okay, all right. So, okay, now where do I start from? Should I start from problem based learning? I think project based learning, you must have got everything.
yes, ma'am. Yes,
Yes,
ma'am.
madam.
Yes, ma'am.
So, problem based learning, very similar to project based learning, but instead of just giving a particular question or a challenge, you give them a problem. Okay, this problem is complex, not very easy, like the one which I said, declining sales. Which part of Maharashtra, which product, nothing is given. So, ambiguous problem and a complex problem. कंटेंट डिलीवरी देते हैं क्या? नहीं देते हैं. We don't deliver the content. It's very loosely structured. Learners will identify the problem. They will figure out कि यार हमें ये पता ही नहीं है. We don't know this information. We don't know how to analyze this data. Then the trainer comes in, gives that particular input. They continue with the problem-based learning. Okay, so minimal control with the teacher. Everything is directed by the students. Among the students, the level of collaboration has to be very, very high. Okay? Outcome is that they have a deep understanding of the problem. They have to come up with a solution, and they, because they have so much of understanding and they have come up with the solution themselves, they also have a deep understanding of the proposed solution. How do you assess the learnings? Not only on the final proposal, but the whole process that they have used. Okay. So similarities are there, but there are differences. But having given both these differences and similarities, we can adapt them. So we can actually have a problem based learning as a cross-functional activity given to a team of people, and it is a standalone method of training. Or you can have it in a training program to use as a methodology for training a particular topic. So you can give a challenge and have a 90-minute module wherein the participants are actually doing project-based learning. So it can be a standalone method, both of them, or it can be adapted into be taken in a training program, wherever as a 90-minute module or a 2-hour module, whichever is convenient. Okay, just to clarify it, let's have a quick uh, questions and answer session. Okay, so learners are asked to create a poster about workplace safety based on a template. Is it a project-based learning, or a problem-based learning?
Project.
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 It is
Project
project.
based.
Problem based, I guess.
A
Problem based.
simple project. It is a simple project, not project-based learning. Okay, why? Because a task is given, very clear instructions are given, template is given to them, and they have to create a poster. There is no creativity, there's no problem solving out here. Therefore, it is only a project. Okay, what about the next one? A team is tasked with redesigning the employee onboarding process based on user feedback.
Problem.
Problem.
Problem based.
What is the problem given here?
No problem.
What
The
are
onboarding
challenges?
process was not proper.
It is a project because there is no
Okay.
problem here. It's a project. User feedback दिया है. This is the earlier onboarding process. Redesign it. It's a project. Now here you can still have training session. Okay, that this is the this is our existing onboarding process. I'm giving you 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 details. So I give some inputs, I give some knowledge, I share some information with them, and then they are continuing with the redesigning part. The process also might be that why don't you discuss these modules with all the HODs? So the entire team may go to different HODs with a questionnaire and then come up with a refined onboarding process. So it is basically a project-based learning. Okay, what about the next one? A team is given
Problem based.
Problem based.
Okay, all right, problem based. Okay, next, learners build a model of eco-friendly office. It's a project. Fantastic. All right. Next, participants are asked to investigate and address increased customer service complaints.
Problem.
Problem.
Project.
Problem. Because it's a problem.
Complaint.
Trainers write and perform a skit to demonstrate effective communication following a sample script.
Project.
Project.
based.
Only project. Don't use the word based.
Project.
Based आ गया तो problem आएगा. Okay, only project. Cross-functional group must develop a marketing campaign for a product, presenting data, budget, and strategies.
Project based learning. Yeah.
And the last one,
What is project?
Problem based.
problem-based.
Problem based. Yeah.
Okay. So there are some more, but I think you got a hang of it. So we'll skip this 2 slides. Okay. So now we'll go into how do you go about it? What is the design part of it? Elements of problem-based design. How do we go about it? It always starts with a challenge. Okay. So the project always coming up with a project which is meaningful, interesting, at the appropriate level of challenge. That is what we have to design. Okay, it has to be authentic, okay, real world, where they are using data from the market, from the company, they're using technology that is available with the company. So therefore, there has to be an authenticity. And then sustained inquiry. Whole concept of learning is based on inquiry. Students pose questions and we help them come up with a resolution by giving them some inputs. Okay. Next part of the design is uh, students' voice and choice. They make the decisions about the project, how they will work, what they will create. They will give their ideas. More their voice and choice, better learnings are going to be. Our job is only to be a facilitator or a guide. In fact, as the whole project proceeds, our job becomes lesser and lesser. So we may start out as a trainer, but as the project proceeds, we may be a facilitator. As the project continues, we will kind of be only guides, saying that yes, this is correct, no, this you need to work on. Okay. However, it is still a method of learning. There has to be learning outcomes. And therefore, while they're doing the project at every level or after milestones that you might want to decide, there has to be reflection, critique, and revision. So, no learning is going to happen without the reflection. Both participants as well as the trainers are going to reflect upon the project activities, the quality of work that has come up, the obstacles, maybe strategies that have been used to overcome them, and how the project is going forward. So you reflect, you redraft, refine, and you aim for excellence. After a certain level where the project has started looking good, then you might give them feedback also. That is the critique part. So when you reflect and give feedback, then it becomes a critical evaluation. The students also may come up with it and they will apply this feedback, rework on their project. Okay. So earlier part, let's say a marketing campaign. More than half the time it's going to be reflection in the beginning. So ye market kiya kya, wo market kiya kya, how did you study the market, did you apply the 4 P's, where are you talking, what are you talking about, which which media to go for, etc. Now they have come up with a plan of action. I can give feedback on that. This may not work well. Why don't you go back to this particular item in the design? Why don't you think about more digital marketing? Maybe why are we going for the old methods only? So these are all my feedback or critiques, and then based on these critiques they will redesign. Very often whatever the outcomes of the project, they are published, in the sense they're shared with the entire organization. So if they come up with the marketing campaign, it is going to be shared with the organization, and the seniors will take a call on whether to apply, use it or not use it. But because it is going to be a public product, then the intrinsic motivation will be very high to do it. They will put in more efforts because it's not something, it's not like an academic project that kiya, grade hua, and that's the end of it. Who cares? Because in my certificate, whether I got A, B, C, kuch bhi nahi aata hai. I just get a certificate. But if this is going to be really published, if my managing committee or board members are going to know about it, you're going to really put in all out efforts, lots of learnings, and lots of skills also learned. So when you're designing a program, PBL learning session activity, this is how you can go about it. This can be a standalone activity which is going to be over a period of months, or it could be a part of your training program where you're given a small project to be done in say 1 hour, 2 hours, whatever it is. Okay. So to do this, what are the trainer's responsibilities? Okay. First of all, you have to design and plan the whole activity. So which activity, when to launch it, from the launch to the culmination, how you're going to process, what is the whole process, step by step, how are you going to proceed, what are the assessments that you're going to do, what are the presentations that you're going to ask for, what are the things that you want to teach them. All this needs to be planned. Okay. But uh, keep in mind that you have to ensure that the project is actually addressing some key learning outcomes about the subject and the skills. Okay. Now, this is the design part. But when you're actually conducting the activity, you have to build a culture. Okay. The whole learning methodology is of inquiry, wherein the participants have to ask questions. They have to answer. They have to do a lot of work. Now, this cannot happen unless you build an environment where the participants feel safe enough to pose questions, learn from each other, collaborate with each other, pay attention. You have to build a culture where they are paying attention to excellence, not just, chalta hai, quality of the product. Uh, Also, you might want to be there as are they collaborating with each other? Are they learning from each other? So, this is the culture you have to build for the training program. Okay. At the same time, you have to manage the activities. Now, although we say it is student driven, some sort of, especially for project based learning, some sort of schedule has to be there. you know so organize your task and give some activity. It should not be too long, where if too much time is given, then the learners have a hard time getting things done. Too less, learning may not be there. So you have to figure out the optimal time that you want to give. You have to find and keep resources that they will be requiring ready. So you can't just say, ye survey hai, kar lo. You will have to give them the survey tools and techniques. Maybe if it's a Google form, you'll have to give them access to the concerned people. So all this we have to keep ready as trainers. Then scaffolding. Okay, scaffolding, student learning, and engaging and coaching. These are nothing but where you want to uh, intervene, support, guide. You will only have to identify, the difficult portions where you think that they may require your guidance and build in this guidance in your program. Okay, sometimes you will have to coach them. So build those things inside, keep them ready, decide when you're going to use it. And then also figure out a plan of how you're going to assess students' learning. So both formative assessment, summative assessments, uh, uh, assessment can be done only by you, could be done by more people, your peers, their peers. It can be self-assessment also. So during the process, how you're going to assess them. At the end, when the project is complete, how you're going to assess the project. These parameters have to be decided by you and prepared by you. So how are they collaborating? What are the kind of questions they are asking? What is their level of participation? How is their motivation? That could be all assessment as a part of the process. But finally, presentation wise, flow, accuracy, communication, presentation, all this also could be a part of the assessment. Okay. Now, this I've talked about project based learning. Problem based learning is also the same, but there is a model available. So, quickly, I will tell you the model, what it is. It is same. So, first of all, the trainer has to develop the program. Okay, he has to design the problem. The problem has to be real world and complex, because you can't give a simple problem which they and give them 2 months to do it. It has to be slightly more complex for the learnings to come up. Then they also, as a trainer, you'll have to activate their existing knowledge. So identify what they already know, what they already understand about, let's say, their own products, their own company, and then that would be a scaffold to the future learning. So what they already know, I have to understand, then identify what are they going to require. So I have to be able to prompt the learners to realize what they don't know and they need to know, so that they'll be able to resolve this problem properly. Then, of course, research. So I might, allow them or prod them to experiment. search on the web, watch some YouTube videos. You may connect them to some experts from the field, and they can interview them, talk to them, learn from them. You might give them some podcasts of senior engineers or very high level R&D people, where they can learn from them. The whole thing is learning by trial and error. Okay. However, we still need to critically analyze everything. So review, analyze, evaluate the information, assess the validity and reliability of the information and that they have actually collected. Reflect and compare. Reflect on the multiple perspective. Compare initial ideas, beliefs to the new ideas and beliefs. Reflect on the growth and understanding of skills. So we have started with what they did not know. Now they have got everything. So where were they? Where are they now? We are not going to teach them in a structured manner. And therefore, if you have to understand what they have learned, you should ask them to reflect and come up with their understanding. That is how you will be able to you'll come to know whether they have understood the problem, the solution, as well as the whole learning process that we are talking about. Again, in this case, the solution will actually have to be shared. So if you're talking about coming up with a new onboarding process, the new onboarding process will be applied. Okay. If they come up with a solution to our sales being reducing, they've come up with a solution, then this solution is going to be applied. Same reasons like we discussed earlier. Okay. And finally, you have to assess. So again, like the earlier case, come up with your assessment strategies prior to the whole process so that it will be easier for you to assess them. Okay. So, okay. What are the kind of roles and responsibilities that a trainer has? Okay. Forget the projects. We'll not talk about the projects. We'll talk only about project-based and problem-based learning. Role is a facilitator or a coach, or in the problem, you are just a guide and a mentor. We are not really having any classes or giving them inputs on our own. We will tell them, yeah, ye site pe jao, isko jaake milo. Why don't you read this books that we have? Why don't you listen to these podcasts? So we are not delivering the inputs, whereas in project based, we are delivering the inputs. Objective is support student in applying real world skills to solve real world problems. In the problem based learning, the objective is encourage independent critical thinking and problem solving. So we are not only actually giving them inputs and training on the whole project and the content, we are teaching them how to solve the problems. How do we initiate it? Projects, we present the driving question or the real world challenge. And similarly, in a problem based also, before everything, we pose an open-ended complex problem without a clear solution. Guidance level, in project based, moderate, in problem based, low. Okay, supports in project based, we are supporting them by monitoring progress, encouraging collaboration, providing feedback. In problem based, we only encourage deep questioning and reflection. Okay. Then our role as assessors, yeah, both require assessments, process as well as the final product is assessed. Time management, as trainers, we can, in project-based learning, we can have timely interventions for project phases and manage time across the stages. Problem-based time management is like a guide. So you might want to have focused discussions. If you remember in the last class, I gave you a group discussion. Typically, after a group discussion, every group has to present. Did I allow that? No. We are having focused discussions. Don't need to take everybody's inputs here. We can take inputs from one or two. Application will be through everybody. Okay. Feedback style, ongoing, formative, focused on collaboration and learning. For problem based, it is diagnostic. You don't give actual feedback कि ये गलत हुआ. What do you think? Will this work? You come up with this solution. Will this work in this market? Will this work under these conditions? So I am just making them think and think and think whether this is all correct. Okay. Use of reflection in project based regularly encouraged. And same thing with project based. It is absolutely for problem based, it is integral. You don't put in, you just make them reflect on everything. Okay. Now, learner independence. Independence with you. Between themselves as a team, very high. Okay. So, high level of autonomy in problem based. Moderate for project based. Now, which to use? Because both are so similar, so similar. So, should I give problem based or should I give project based learning to my participants? Well, simple thing is, if your goal is to integrate learning through doing and reflection, and the level of learners is slightly high, who are confident enough to ask questions, probe, do some work on their own, go in for project based learning. Okay. If the goal is to have deep understanding, self-directed learning, level of participants is really high who require minimal structure. They will manage on their own. Then go for product problem-based learning. So if you want to teach a skill or reinforce project, but integrated through doing and reflecting project, deep self-directed learning, problem based. Okay. Now, why this method? It's a complex method. Our job is very subtle in these cases, both project based and problem based learning. It's not like, activity design kiya, go and conduct that activity. We are there giving back and forth, doing everything. No, it's a little bit more complex than that. All the things that you have to do, but we are not actually doing it in, real time. कि ये करना ही है. Even in a training program, like I said, you can have a project based learning, but for that 2 hours, we are not going to do anything. We're going to sit and observe what is happening and ask pointed questions. So why this method? It's so complex, it's so difficult for the trainer. But it has been, there are statistics that are available to us which say that when a student undergoes a project-based training or a problem-based training, information is, 75% of the better retention is there than the traditional methods. So you may have a role play, you may have a case study, but problem-based learning, 75% more retention, okay, more engagement, and along with the content and learning outcomes, they're also learning skills of problem solving, critical thinking, teamwork, and collaboration. So when you have these as your parameters for success, go in for problem-based or project-based learning. Okay, so that takes care of our session for today. Are there any questions? All right. Okay, so no questions for now. However, although this is the last class that I will be taking, I'm not going anywhere. I'm always available. My contact details are there with Gurvinder, or I think many of you already have my contact details. Feel free to get in touch with me. I will be happy to help you answer your questions or clarify any time that you need. So this is just because I'm not taking classes doesn't mean our association has to end. I will be definitely there. And thank you very much for being such good listeners, active participants, and sincere students. So thank you very much. I know that I have promised to give you the